Hey guys, my name is Charles Dodd. Today I'm going to talk about GroupM India and their path to digital maturity. We'll talk about a little bit of the struggles that they had to overcome and whether or not their CEO did a good job on getting them there. First off, I just want to talk about an overview of GroupM. And in 2001, they established a presence in India and they grew to become the largest media investment management company in the world. Under Srinivas, the South Asia CEO, they saw some promising future outlooks and some great profits. And then just for their organizational structure, they are a subsidiary of WPP and a parent company of Maxis, MEC, Mediacom, and Mindshare. And going through 2012, they had some great success. They had 40% market share in 2012, and the threats from competitors were minimal due to them being 35% larger than their nearest competitor. Next up is the digital era that was the beginning of setbacks for them. GroupM's biggest threat was the rapid digital and technical growth in the coming years. As the company began to see struggles keeping up with these technological advancements, there was also simultaneously an economic slowdown in India. So you can imagine the challenges that they had to face. Their top two mediums were TV and print. So they just were not viable as everything was expanding and adapting in the few years that they did. Through 2012 and 2013, mobile device consumption doubled in India. So it's almost like they skipped a generation. And when you have to develop that quickly, it can be challenging finding what areas you need to improve, what areas are worth looking into, and what really caught their eye was they were seeing a lot of growth in their non-core areas. And this kind of raised the question of, do we want to continue with our strategies that we're currently working with, or do we want to accept that the world is changing, our industry is changing, and we should change along with that? And fortunately, Srinivas identified the importance of accepting that the world and industry was changing, and that GroupM's success really relied on whether or not they could do so as well. So the first challenge that we're going to talk about is their product gap. And as I stated before, they were more on the traditional media side of things. On that chart I had on the previous slide, you could see that television was 42% of where they were spending their money in print. So mainly newspapers, but also a little bit of magazines, equated for, I believe, over another 42%. So they needed to kind of move on from that. And in order to display a sense of digital maturity, they had to turn around the business and build a strong integrated product with innovative digital content. And this would lead to their clients getting better services from their advertising, and they could learn more about what their consumers actually want. Next is the people gap. This is where I think they had the biggest struggle. Because they had middle and lower level talent that was just leaving them, and the people in the organization are critical to the performance of GroupM India, just as any other company. And making sure that the talent is not only acquired but retained in years to come will make a big difference in the company's ability to grow with the technological advancements. So as I said, they had issues losing younger employees, and they would work for the company for 2 or 3 years and then just leave. So this is what they really need to figure out. GroupM must figure out how the company can change its culture to provide a welcoming environment from younger talent. I believe one thing is opportunity. A lot of younger people want to enter into a company and see that there's growth potential within that company, and they don't want to be stuck in certain positions. So I believe that that's something that GroupM could do a little bit better. And it's got to take care of this issue in order to have a futuristic vision. If you don't have the vision, you're not digitally mature, and that's something that I think the CEO does have. But actually implementing that is a completely other level. Not only are consumers getting younger, but they're also changing the way they view content. So you need to identify where your consumer demographics are changing. Whether it's how they're taking in the content, who's taking in the content, and where you can reach them at. So, less people watch TV nowadays, and they use their laptops for Netflix, Hulu, all different types of streaming. Or, less people read newspapers and they use their phone, whether it's social media or internet sites. Maybe you're subscribed to a certain newspaper with a digital, content rather than the paper version. So learning consumer habits and features will allow the company to connect more to provide clients with better results. Next is the profile gap. Their portfolio is more in traditional businesses, so they're either not in technology-driven industries or unwilling to change with advancing business world. I have a chart here where you can see some of the industries that they are working in, and there's not a lot of tech, not a lot of internet companies, so that's something that they need to integrate into their portfolio. Once they integrate these companies into their portfolio, I believe they will also be able to stay ahead of trends a little bit easier. One of those reasons is once you're working with these types of companies, you're going to get a better hands-on feel for where the industry is headed, where consumer habits are headed. So basically working with these types of companies will be beneficial. One, because that's where all the profit is, and two, you have a better understanding of what the future is kind of going to require from you. Finally, they had a partnership gap. So they were lacking the proper partners as they were really unprepared for their mobile solutions and strategies. And GroupM CEO is quoted saying that they were ready to look for partners who were future ready. So surrounding yourself with partners who also have that mindset was, I think, one of the best displays of digital maturity from both the CEO and GroupM as a whole. Srinivas wanted to improve the technical capabilities in the digital media products themselves. So in order to ensure doing so, he embraced his role as a stated change agent and facilitator of new practices. And like I said, I think this is some of the strongest evidence of digital maturity, and this really set GroupM up pretty nicely for their future success. So as my conclusion, I think that their South American CEO has done a pretty fine job of getting them to a digital maturity that is really viable for them. I think that the company as a whole is doing a good job. One thing that I think they can kind of improve or have done is when they are implementing systemic changes in how they organize and develop workforces, they need to spur that innovation. They need to have that digitally minded culture and experience. So, their partnerships and overall vision could benefit from doing this. The people who they're working with can benefit from doing this. That kind of ties into their talent magnet where, you have digitally mature organizations. They understand that you need to place a premium on attracting this talent. You can't just be an average company or offer average benefits and expect that this talent comes to you. You need to have a great culture, and you need to have development efforts that go beyond the traditional training. So if they can create a compelling environment, I think that they'll be able to retain the talent that they're bringing in rather than having the type of turnover that they're experiencing. Next is they need to innovate and take risk. In the digital world, as it's advancing year after year, it's getting quicker and quicker. You need to innovate faster than your competitors. You need to be willing to take risks that you might not have been willing to a couple years back. And one way that they can help do that is through diversification. Whether it's their partners, their advertising strategies, or the types of people that are working in their business itself. It could lead to a larger safety net since they are diversified, and it will open up more opportunities. With this opportunity, though, does come the risk that they will kind of lose their core values. That's something that a lot of companies do. They're willing to adapt, they're willing to change, they have the vision, but unfortunately, they lose who they are as a company and they crumble that way. So the safe thing to do is take risks, be willing to make these changes, have the future vision, but at the same time, remember who you are. And I think the CEO is doing a great job of that, And if they just continue to do these few things, I think that GroupM will have great long-term success.